My girlfriend and best friend lied for months, so I crashed their engagement party. My name is Ryan, I'm 31 years old, and just 6 months ago, I thought I had everything I ever wanted. A thriving job in digital marketing, a girlfriend who made my world feel brighter, and a best friend I considered a brother. But moments before I crashed the most deceitful engagement party I'd ever seen, none of that seemed real anymore. The trust I'd built, the love I thought I had, the loyalty I swore by, it all collapsed when I discovered the two people I loved most had been lying to my face for months. The woman I thought I'd marry, the friend I thought would be my best man. They were hiding a secret so cruel it left a scar I still carry. "You weren't supposed to see this," my girlfriend Brooke whispered, pale and trembling, as the room stared, jaws dropped, and the projector flickered behind me. But I didn't flinch. I'd spent too long breaking inside to care about their shame. My refusal to walk away quietly earned me an eruption of chaos, gasps from their parents, and a shattered champagne flute that hit the floor like a death knell. "How could you?" Brooke choked, mascara streaking down her cheeks as my former best friend Tyler stepped back like a coward. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. Instead, I clicked next slide, revealing their late-night hotel receipts. That night awakened something within me. Something quiet, cold, and crystal clear. My response wouldn't be rage, it would be precision. My exposure would not just end their lie, it would strip them of the fantasy life they thought they could build on my back. But before I tell you how I walked into their engagement party and burned every illusion to the ground, let me know where you're watching from and hit subscribe if you've ever had to learn the truth the hard way. Because you have no idea what I did once I found out they planned to marry behind my back. At first, it was little things. Brooke started turning her phone over whenever I walked into the room, not in a nervous way, but like it was second nature. Tyler, my best friend since high school, suddenly got busy every time we tried to hang out. I chalked it up to adult life, work stress, relationship growing pains. You know, the usual excuses we feed ourselves when we don't want to face the fact that something's off. Brooke and I had been together for 3 years. We weren't perfect, but we were solid. Or so I thought. She laughed at my dumb jokes, remembered my coffee order, and had this way of wrapping herself around me at night like I was home. And Tyler? He was my ride or die. We played on the same rugby team in college, took turns crashing on each other's couches after breakups, even started a podcast together during the pandemic. He was there when I met Brooke, introduced us, in fact. So when the distance started creeping in, I blamed myself. Maybe I wasn't as present as I used to be. Maybe I'd taken them for granted. I started trying harder, booking dinner reservations, sending good morning texts, checking in more. But instead of pulling them closer, I felt like I was orbiting their lives from the outside. Brooke stopped responding with emojis. Tyler gave me one-word answers. And then came the Saturday I'll never forget. We were supposed to have a board game night. Just the three of us, like old times. But an hour before, Brooke texted, feeling sick. Rain check? And Tyler? He ghosted completely. I drove past his apartment later just to see if he was around. His car was gone. And that's when my gut started screaming. I didn't know the full truth yet. But something wasn't just off. Something was wrong. And deep down, I think I already knew who was lying to me. I just wasn't ready to admit it. Not yet. It happened on a Wednesday. One of those boring, middle-of-the-week, barely getting through it kind of days. I got off work early and decided to surprise Brooke with her favorite takeout, pad thai with extra peanuts and a mango smoothie. I knew she had a yoga class that ran late on Wednesdays, so I figured I'd drop by her place, set everything up, and wait. Something cute, normal, stabilizing. Her apartment key was still on my ring. She'd never asked for it back. That meant something, right? I let myself in, set the food on the table, and was just about to light a candle when her phone buzzed on the couch. I shouldn't have looked, I know. But the screen lit up with Tyler's name, and that familiar gut-twisting feeling hit me hard. The preview read, "Can't stop thinking about last night. You wore me out." I stared at it. My hands went cold. My heart thudded, then dropped completely. My first instinct was denial. No, it has to be a joke, a misunderstanding. But I knew Tyler. I knew his humor, and I knew that tone wasn't friendly banter. My fingers moved before my brain could stop them. I picked up the phone and swiped up. No passcode, just wide open. Like they never imagined I'd be here. Or worse, maybe they didn't care anymore. I found the thread. It wasn't just one message. It was weeks of them. Conversations filled with innuendo, then full-on confessions. Talk about nights at hotels when I was working late. Pictures, plans, a playlist called Our Little Secret. I remember standing there feeling like the walls were folding in on me. I could still smell the damn pad thai, but it might as well have been poison. I sat down slowly. The phone still in my hand. Everything blurred. Then the front door opened. Brooke walked in, yoga mat slung over her shoulder, sweaty and glowing. "Oh my God, babe, you're here early." She saw the phone, saw my face. Her smile vanished. Her mouth opened, but no sound came, and that was the exact moment I knew. I wasn't paranoid. I wasn't insecure. I was betrayed, and I wasn't going to let it slide. She froze like a deer in headlights. Her lips parted, reaching for some kind of excuse, but I was already walking past her. I didn't yell. I didn't throw the phone. I just handed it to her like it was a dirty napkin and said, "Tell Tyler he forgot to delete his playlist," she stammered. "Ryan, wait, please." But I was out the door. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't eat the next day. Something snapped in me, but it wasn't dramatic. It was surgical, cold, precise. The pain had already settled like a stone in my chest. Now I just wanted the truth. All of it, every disgusting detail. So I started digging. Tyler hadn't blocked me. He didn't even know I knew. So I watched. Social media, Venmo, shared calendar invites from our podcast app. They weren't just hooking up. They were dating in secret. He was tagged in a brunch photo with her friends. She commented, "My man," on one of his private posts. He must have forgotten to remove me from the close friends list on Instagram. The deeper I went, the clearer the timeline became. It started around 5 months ago, right after Brooke and I had that fight about moving in together. She wasn't unsure about commitment. She just didn't want to be with me anymore. Tyler had slid into the opening, and they'd built this little fantasy life behind my back. I even called Claire, one of our mutual friends. She was hesitant at first. But when I told her what I'd seen, she sighed heavily and said, "I was wondering when you'd find out. I'm so sorry, Ryan." They didn't even try that hard to hide it. I thanked her and hung up. By Friday, I knew everything. What hotels they went to, the names they used on reservations, even a private photo folder Brooke had linked to her cloud by mistake. I wasn't just betrayed. I was played, gaslit, made to feel like I was crazy for noticing what was right in front of me. I wasn't crazy, and I wasn't done. Now that I had the truth, it was time to decide what to do with it. The worst part wasn't what I'd already seen. It was what I still didn't know. I needed to hear it from someone else, not just screenshots, not just vibes. I wanted someone close to them to look me in the eye and admit it. So I called Lex. Lex and I had known each other since college. She used to date Tyler for a couple years, and we all stayed in the same circle even after their breakup. She was sharp, loyal to a fault, and had this built-in radar for people's BS. She always told me she had my back, and I believed her. When she picked up, I didn't sugarcoat it. "Lex," I said, my voice flat, "I need to ask you something, and I need you to be straight with me. No soft landings." She hesitated. "Okay. It's Brooke and Tyler. Are they together?" Silence. "Lex?" She exhaled like she'd been holding that breath for weeks. "Yeah, Ryan. I didn't know how to tell you. I thought maybe it was a phase or just something stupid. But it's not. It's real. They've been sneaking around for months." I swallowed hard. "They're engaged." That part hit like a gut punch. "What?" She sounded angry now. "They've been planning an engagement party. This weekend. They told people it was private because they wanted to avoid drama. Guess who wasn't invited?" I laughed. It was bitter, ugly, me, the idiot ex-boyfriend and the used best friend. Exactly. Lex paused, then added something I didn't expect. "Ryan, they deserve hell for what they did to you. But whatever you're thinking of doing, make sure it's on your terms, not theirs." And right then, everything clicked. I'd already mourned the relationship, already grieved the friendship. What I needed now wasn't closure. It was clarity. They wanted to start a new chapter by pretending I didn't exist. I was about to remind them that I did, and they would never forget it. T felt almost cinematic, too scripted to be real. Not only had Brooke and Tyler betrayed me behind closed doors, but now they were throwing an engagement party like their relationship was something to celebrate, like it hadn't been built on lies, secrecy, and my humiliation. And the kicker? It was happening at the very same rooftop bar where I'd once planned to propose to Brooke myself. She didn't know that. I'd chickened out the night I brought the ring in my coat pocket. Probably for the best. Lex sent me the invite. Not mine, of course, I was never supposed to see it. But she got her hands on a digital copy from another mutual friend. The theme was New Beginnings. Barf. It was all laid out. Champagne welcome, 7 p.m. speech from the happy couple, slideshow of their journey together, complete with photos I was sure had been taken when Brooke was still coming home to me. That's when it hit me. They weren't hiding anymore. They were rewriting the past, painting over the truth, like I'd never even existed. And that burned worse than all the lies combined. They wanted a fairy tale built on ashes, but they didn't get to pretend they hadn't burned me down first. So I made a decision. I wouldn't confront them ahead of time. No screaming matches, no awkward texts, no pitiful demands for closure. I was going to let them have their big moment. Let them gather all their friends and family. Let them dim the lights and cue the projector. Once I made the decision to crash the party, everything inside me settled. Not out of peace, but out of focus. I didn't want revenge for the sake of drama. I wanted the truth, my truth, brought into the light. And I wanted them to be the ones who had to look at it. So I got to work. First, I gathered everything. Screenshots of texts between Brooke and Tyler, time-stamped and damning. The hotel reservation confirmations, the playlist. Even a photo of them together at a bed and breakfast the same weekend Brooke told me she was visiting her aunt in Vermont. I compiled it all into a clean, well-organized PowerPoint. Yeah, a PowerPoint. If they were going to host a polished, curated love story for the crowd, I was going to return the favor. Then I called in a favor from my buddy Sam, who worked in AV at the rooftop venue. I kept it vague, told him I had a last-minute surprise video for the couple and needed 5 minutes on the projector during the party. I paid him under the table. No questions asked. After that, I planned my entrance. I didn't want to show up looking bitter or unhinged. I wanted to look composed, unbothered. I bought a clean navy suit, polished my shoes, got a fresh haircut. If they were going to remember this night forever, I'd make damn sure I looked like the man they couldn't erase. I rehearsed the speech in my head every night leading up to it. Not to attack, but to tell the truth, to stand in front of their friends, their family, their curated fantasy, and shine a spotlight on what they'd buried. This wasn't about rage anymore, this was about dignity. Their fairy tale had a foundation of betrayal, and I was going to show the world exactly what it was built on. The elevator doors opened to a golden rooftop sunset, strung with fairy lights and soft jazz echoing through the speakers. Laughter and champagne floated in the air like nothing bad had ever touched this place. Everyone was dressed to impress. Tyler in a beige blazer, Brooke in white satin, like she was auditioning for her wedding day. They looked perfect, polished, like the world had handed them a clean slate. They didn't notice me at first. I slipped in through the side, nodding to Sam at the AV table. He gave me a quick, nervous thumbs up. The USB in his hand was already plugged in, queued up to play exactly when I signaled. I wandered casually near the back, sipping a soda, scanning the crowd. Brooke's mom, Tyler's co-workers, our mutual friends, some of whom knew. I felt invisible and radioactive at the same time. Then came the clinking of a glass. Tyler raised his champagne flute. Everyone, thank you so much for being here tonight. This means the world to us. Brooke beamed. We wanted to celebrate new beginnings, new love, and the people who supported us from day one. From day one. That line almost made me laugh. And now, Tyler said, reaching for the remote, a little walk down memory lane. Perfect. I stepped forward just before he could click play. Actually, I said, projecting my voice just enough, if it's okay with the happy couple, I put together a short presentation of my own, just a few photos I thought the room might appreciate. The entire rooftop went still. Brooke's eyes widened. Tyler went pale. I nodded to Sam. The projector screen lit up. Slide 1, a selfie of me, Brooke, and Tyler from a year ago. The caption read, "When I thought I had a best friend and a soulmate." Murmurs started. Some laughter died in throats. Slide 2, a text from Tyler. "You wore me out last night. I can't believe we pulled that off." Gasps. Slide 3, hotel confirmation. Brooke's name. Tyler's credit card. By slide 4, Brooke had dropped her glass. Tyler stepped forward, saying, "Ryan, this isn't the time." "Oh, I think it's exactly the time," I said calmly. "You wanted a celebration, right? Let's make sure everyone knows what you're actually celebrating." And I let the rest of the slideshow play. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just stood there and let the truth speak louder than anything I could have said. And the silence afterward, it was deafening. The room was paralyzed. The only sound was the quiet hum of the projector, still cycling through photos of stolen weekends, exchanged "I love yous," and dates that overlapped with my own anniversaries with Brooke. People stared at the screen, some horrified, some stunned, others whispering to the person beside them. No one touched their champagne. Brooke's hands trembled. "Ryan, please, stop." But I wasn't listening to her anymore. Not really. Tyler tried to step in, raising his hands like some twisted peacekeeper. "We didn't mean for it to happen like this, man. It just... things got complicated." I cut him off, not with words, but with the final slide. A photo of the ring I once planned to give Brooke. The caption read, "She said she wasn't ready for forever. I guess she just wasn't ready for it with me." That's when the murmuring turned into outrage. Brooke's father looked furious. Her mother walked out. One of Tyler's co-workers muttered, "Jesus Christ," and set down his glass. I stepped forward, calm, composed. "I gave you both the best parts of me," I said evenly, "my trust, my loyalty, my time. And you turned it into a punchline behind my back. You didn't just cheat, you rewrote our lives like I never existed. So I thought, if you're going to build something new, you should at least be honest about what you destroyed to do it." Brooke was crying now, shaking, mascara streaming down her face. "You didn't have to humiliate us." I looked her in the eye. "No," I said, "you didn't have to lie." Then I turned to the crowd, nodded politely, and walked toward the elevator. I didn't look back. Behind me, I could hear raised voices, someone shouting Tyler's name, a chair scraping loudly on the floor. But it wasn't my scene anymore. I'd already made my exit. I left behind the fantasy they tried to create and walked straight into something far better. The truth. The texts started before I even got home. First Brooke, then Tyler, then mutual friends, some furious, some stunned, a few just curious, like I was a one-man reality show they couldn't stop watching. Brooke's first message just said, "How could you do this to me?" To her. Not, "I'm sorry," not, "You're right," not, "I messed up." Just classic Brooke, center stage in her own tragedy. Tyler tried to be diplomatic. "Man, I wish we'd handled this better. Let's talk." I didn't respond to either of them. There was nothing left to say. Word spread fast. Brooke's parents pulled out of funding their wedding. Tyler lost a potential promotion after someone forwarded the slideshow to his boss. Their engagement photos never made it to Instagram. They went quiet online altogether, like they were trying to ghost the very people they'd invited to celebrate their lie. Lex called me a few days later. "Ryan, you made a damn statement. You okay?" "Honestly," I said, "I think I am." I started sleeping better, woke up lighter. There was no more second guessing. No more gut-tightening what-ifs, just space, clean air, a strange sort of peace. And the funny thing? People reached out who I hadn't heard from in years. Friends I thought had faded away. Co-workers who'd heard the story. One even said, "Dude, you're a legend." That was like a Netflix finale. I didn't want to be a legend. I just wanted to be free. But it was nice to be seen again. Not as someone who got walked on, but someone who stood up. I started running again. Picked up my old guitar, got drinks with Lex, laughed for real. And for the first time in a long time, I stopped waiting for the other shoe to drop. It already had. and I'd walked away from the rubble, not bitter, but rebuilt, on my own terms. Months have passed since the night I torched their illusion. Brooke and Tyler are still together, at least last I heard. But something's different. The photos stopped. The public displays of affection vanished. It's like they're trying to live quietly now, as if hiding will make what they did any less rotten. Maybe they're hoping people forget. But people don't forget. I'm not angry anymore, not even a little. What they did, it changed me, but it didn't break me. If anything, it woke me up. I used to be the kind of guy who gave people the benefit of the doubt until it bled me dry. I thought love was about compromise, even when I was the only one compromising. I thought friendship meant loyalty, even if it was only going one way. Not anymore. Now I surround myself with people who show up, who call when they say they will, who look you in the eye when they speak. Lex and I have gotten closer. Nothing romantic, just honest friendship, the kind I thought I had with Tyler. I've started my own creative agency, turned that podcast we started into something better. Mine. It's growing, slowly but steadily. Turns out people connect with truth more than curated perfection. Sometimes I still see pictures from that rooftop party. Someone posted a story the next day of the skyline with a caption. Now that was a plot twist. It makes me laugh. Because yeah, it was. But the real twist wasn't the slideshow or the confrontation or even the betrayal. The real twist was me. Refusing to shrink. Refusing to disappear. Choosing to stand up in front of everyone, not with rage, but with the truth. They wanted a new beginning. And I gave them one. Just not the one they expected. Have you ever trusted the wrong people, only to realize too late that they never valued you at all? If my story reminded you of a time you had to rebuild yourself from betrayal, I'd love to hear it. Share your truth in the comments, because someone out there needs to know they're not alone. If this journey resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and send it to someone who might be carrying heartbreak in silence. Let them know you can lose people and still find yourself. You can be broken and still come back stronger, not for revenge, not for applause, but for your peace. Sometimes the best ending is walking away with your head held high, because you finally chose you.